12th. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the first item of business is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item on the agenda is the submission of minutes. We have the town council meeting minutes from October 22nd, as well as the executive session meeting minutes from October 22nd.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by
Can you
Tim.
guys hear me okay?
It's the volume's
It's
a bit low.
something-
How is it out there? Can you hear us okay?
Oh, okay, great.
That's all that
Okay,
matters. So, beautiful. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the public hearing. We have the intoxicating beverage license renewals for 2025, 2026.
There's always a lot more to that. Sorry, Madam Clerk. I was waiting for a long and drawn out. So as the clerk pointed out, this is a public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone? Normally, I would ask to speak in favor or against, but if there is a particular license that you needed to speak on, this is your time to do so. Normally, I'd read it out 3 times. I'm not going to do that. I'll just give it an extra moment. Council? Just need a motion to close.
Make a
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to close public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is C1. This is ordinance 2025-14. This is a correction to ordinance 2025-03. And this is to decrease the number of limited BV licenses from 7 to 4. Second reading.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is D1. This is Rosa Paiva for St. Elizabeth's Church, United Brotherhood Committee, 577 Wood Street. This is a request for 2 one-day dancing and entertainment licenses for Saturday, December 6, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., and February 7th, as well from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. for church fundraisers.
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is D2. This is Paula Morissette, board member for the James D. Riley Foundation. This is a request for mobile food establishment event permit for Saturday, November 22nd, rain day Sunday, November 23rd, from 4 p.m. to 7:30 for the Bristol Santa House opening day party.
Is Paula here? Do you want a 30-second commercial? Bet you didn't know you were going to do that, did you?
Yeah,
If
thank
you could
so
state
much.
your name and address for the record,
Certainly.
please.
Paula Morissette, 21 Lisa Lane in Bristol.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just wanted to say again, a thank you to all of you for supporting the Bristol Santa House. We've had the privilege of setting up for the last few weeks and just want to share with you all the people that are coming by, children of all ages, and how excited they are to see the house back and how much joy it's bringing them. So as always, I invite all of you to come by and stop by and see Santa in the beautiful home. We hope to have you all visit us.
So Paula,
Yeah.
it's a request for a mobile food establishment Saturday, November 22nd, and rain date Sunday, November 23rd. What makes this, is this kind of the opening day that people should come to?
This is something that we started last year with your support, and it's what we're calling the annual opening day party for Santa. We're trying to make this a community event, so we're going to have the trucks there, but it's all for free. So
Oh.
all the community members are welcome to come, and there will be the pizza and the cookies and hot cocoa and cider. The Coca-Cola truck is coming. We're not quite sure what they're going to bring, but they're bringing a big, beautiful lit up truck. But it's our gift to the community, welcoming everyone that Santa will be here for the season.
So free food and Santa is what you're saying.
Free
Oh,
food and
Ah,
Santa.
okay.
I thought it was going to be, I
Santa's-
thought it was a fundraiser, actually.
And gifts,
Yeah.
yes.
Not a
No
fundraiser, yeah, I thought
fundraisers,
it was,
no, this
yeah.
is
Just
all
fun, no raises.
Just
Excellent.
fun.
Council?
Well, since you included children of all ages, okay, I make a motion that we approve it.
Thank you so
I'll,
much.
Second.
I'll second the motion. Mary, you and I live very
No, we're
close
just-
to the
we're
Santa
just in
House.
sync. We're just in
Yeah.
sync.
I want to just say it's such a well-managed event. You bring large crowds, you're very respectful to the neighborhood, and it just brings such a charm and holiday. And you just feel very in the Christmas season. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. It really brings so much joy to our hearts and know
Yeah.
that we're bringing joy to the community. So we thank you again for your support.
Great.
All right, we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Don't move.
The next item on the agenda is D3. This is Paula Morissette, board member for the James D. Riley Foundation. This is the request for a one-day dancing and entertainment license for Saturday, November 22nd, rain date Sunday, November 23rd, from 4 to 7:30 for the Santa House Opening Day Party.
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? I don't think you need another 30-second commercial. Excellent. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Thank
luck.
you.
Good luck.
The next item on the agenda is D4. This is Alicia Saldana for Kali Kitchen, 34 Gooding Avenue, request for dancing and entertainment license.
Good evening, everyone. Alicia actually had surgery yesterday. Was it yesterday or the 2 days before? My name is Medina Perishvili. I'm one of the new owners at Cali. And we would like to request a dancing and entertainment license to hold professional dancing events for entertainment, literally. So, and we're requesting it for indefinitely. And we also have a liquor license at the restaurant. I'm sure you're already aware. So that's what I'm here for.
Congratulations on the
Yeah.
new ownership.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about what you're proposing there. So it's certainly, we know it's dancing entertainment, but what kind of dancing and entertainment?
Yeah, Cali is a Peruvian restaurant, so we can have like Peruvian style dancers out there when we're celebrating certain events, and during the holidays as well. That's the focus.
And what about the music itself?
Peruvian music mostly, like Spanish music. Yeah,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve it with a 3-month review.
Second.
I thank you.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve with a 3-month review. Discussion?
Good
Hearing
luck.
none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
So Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D5. This is Alicia Borelli, Bristol Merchant Association, request for road closure on Lower State Street between Hope Street and Thames on Saturday, December 6th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the State Street Holiday Fair.
Is Alicia here? Come on up. If you would state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Alicia Borelli. My address is 69 Franklin Street, apartment 1. in Bristol.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So this is a departure from what we've done in the past, and I think it's a neat departure. Tell us more.
So it is going to follow the format of a regular State Street Fair, which is a very well attended of multiple events that, as you all know, are spring through fall in Bristol on State Street. The event's not new. I'm new to managing it. So it's going to follow the same format that's been going. We're excited to include the Mount Hope High School students, the National Honor Society, 50 students strong, all are going to be volunteering in a variety of different ways for the event, including, and we are aware that the grand illumination starts around 5. So they're going to be helping to support the vendors to make sure that we transition in time for that to happen
Okay.
seamlessly.
Of course.
Well said. Well said.
I think it's a great idea to have it. Like, it'd be interesting to see, the others are spring and fall and how it's going to be at Christmas. And
Well-
hopefully it's early enough that people could actually get some shopping done. I think it'd be a pretty
Sure.
cool event.
And the
Yeah.
grand illumination brings so many people downtown for the
right.
holidays.
Yeah, it
So
does.
Yeah.
we would love to showcase the businesses that are
Yeah.
along downtown as well.
So smart.
Before we make a motion, why don't we just have a motion to combine D5, which is what we're on right now, and D6, and we'll just
So move. Second.
motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now let's get a
Your
motion.
support.
Based on the recommendations, the positive recommendations, I make a motion that we approve both
Second.
events.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve both D5 and D6. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E1. This is the intoxicating beverage license renewals 2025-2026 licensing year, together with the approval of the required concurrent 2025-2026 victualling licenses. And I'll also note that, I'm sorry, for the record, that there is a claim for lien on Quito's Restaurant by Mello's Fruit and Produce.
Mike, just for clarity, our past practice has been to, if this council so chooses to do so, approve it contingent upon satisfying that?
Yeah, so actually, that is the rule for a transfer of a liquor license, the state statute. And the rules say that you can basically make a transfer subject to payment of all outstanding claims. Liquor licenses that are presently in existence, and if all of our regulations and ordinances are met, the response is to acknowledge that claim, but that is really between the two parties, because this is not a transfer. It's a renewal, and the Supreme Court has held that a liquor license is a property right. And this is a contract between the two parties. So ordinarily, that comes up in a transfer. This is the first time I think here I've seen something like this come up in a renewal. Hopefully the liquor license holder gets the message, but that's going to be between them.
So the motion is just to approve all.
Assuming
Okay.
that's the way you want to go, yes.
Yeah.
And recognize this claim being expressed.
Absolutely.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion?
yes, briefly, I'd just like to say, since this normally would have been, if it was paper, it would have been the packet. So lots of work was done by the police, fire, and water pollution in order to review all of these in order to be before us this evening. So I'd like to express gratitude, thank you to the police, fire, and the water pollution for doing all the work they did to make things a little easier for us, just to say, let's fly with it,
Well
or
said.
not fly with it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is E2. This is the Sunday sale license renewals for 2025-2026.
Just need a motion to approve unless there's
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second,
motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is E3. This is the vitrilling license renewals for 2025-2026.
Make a motion to approve based on the recommendations.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to take a quick moment to tell the public, does it feel like we're going through these very quickly? We are. We've, all of us have done our homework before the meeting and made sure that we had the information that we needed to say yes or say no on these. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E4. This is the additional hours license renewals for 2025-2026.
Make a motion to approve based on the recommendations.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item on the agenda is E5. This is the amusement device license renewals 2025-2026.
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Aye. Sorry.
You could see the future of what was going
Aye.
on. Yeah. You felt like it was coming to that. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Discussion?
We are moving through so quickly.
Yeah.
But when I was going through my packet, I had some questions about this, and I'm going to throw you on the spot, Mike. The amusement devices, we're talking about registering pool tables and jukeboxes.
Yep.
For like $100 for each one. What's the philosophy behind that? Was there
There's a
back
state-
in the day or state law that
State
requires
law.
us to do it?
State
Okay.
law.
And is that another one of those anachronisms where these guys were cheating people out, or people weren't getting their quarters back, and so they had to
That is
register them?
a wonderful theory. I honestly don't know the reason. This law has been on the books for decades and decades and decades,
Okay.
but it is state law. That's why.
Okay. Well, I think this one might be able to be changed at some point, maybe. So I'm all set. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were changing something.
Are you making reference to the amusement
Yeah, I
devices?
just kind of
Yeah.
wanted to know what the purpose
Right,
is of
right.
it, and I've wondered for a while now, and I figured I'd spring it on when we
I'm
have the
ass-
biggest, fattest packet we've ever had. So
I'm assuming it's money making. That's all it is.
it could be. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item on the agenda is E6. This is the holiday sales license renewals for 2025, 2026.
Based on the recommendations, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second?
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is E7. This is the 6-month review for Charles Eli Dunn Folklore LLC, doing business as Folklore Provisions, 301 Hope Street. This is from the request for the BV liquor license and to expand the alcohol service license, continued from May 7th.
Chief, just for the record, no issues.
No issues, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief.
Based on the positive recommendation, make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is E8. This is the 6-month review, also for Charles Eli Dunn Folklore LLC, doing business as Folklore Provisions for the dancing and entertainment license, also continued from May 7th.
Chief, still no issues?
No issues.
Thank you, Chief.
Exemplary business.
Thank you, Chief.
Based on the positive recommendations, again, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is E9. This is the 6-month review as well for Charles Eli Dunn Folklore, doing business as Folklore Provisions, and this was for the request to expand the sidewalk alcohol service license area.
I won't do it this time, Chief.
Based on a positive recommendation, I make a motion, we approve it.
Second?
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is F1. This is Denise Diorio Jarabi, 26 Tanglewood Drive, Riverside. This is a request for off-street parking rental cost adjustments from 150 to 75. Request extension of off-season parking currently from December to March for changes to November 16th to April 14th. And a request for marina parking lot drop-off option for ferry passengers and for vehicle unloading.
Denise?
Thank you.
Welcome.
My name's Denise Diorio Javery. I live at 26 Tanglewood Drive in Riverside, Rhode Island. And I'm here on behalf of the Prudence Island commuters who couldn't be here. The last ferry left about 3 hours ago. So basically, thank you to the council last year for allowing off-season parking. And basically, it's for working population that needs to get off the island to support themselves, school children, medical access for radiation, and physical therapy. However, the $150 a month is a hardship for many of the islanders. And if you annualize it, it comes out to $1,800 a year. Previously, before it became the marina parking lot, folks were paying $600 for a full year pass to park in that lot. And we're asking for consideration due to hardship for many of the islanders.
So I know we have the harbor master here this evening. You may or may not be aware that there was a harbor commission meeting and a recommendation to this council of decreasing the fee to your benefit. Currently 150, as he pointed out. The recommendation to this council is $125. So a savings per month of $25. Greg, could you speak on your recommendation if you would? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
We,
evening.
we met with the Harbor Commission. We looked at the stuff and, we unanimously agreed to the $125. It was a fight kind of to keep it with the Harbor Commission because some of the members just didn't want to allow any parking over there and just leave it for the marina. So we kind of all agreed on the 125, a little bit of savings. Still doing our part, monitoring it. It costs a little bit of money for us to do that. So that was the outcome.
And you said that was a unanimous from the Harbor Commission recommendation, obviously, and yourself?
Yeah, well, both of us both agreed on that. We agreed that, we'll do the parking passes like we did in last year. That kind of worked out for the best for us, but we didn't want to do month-to-month parking. That was, we had to fight with some people to get money from them as they left their cars there without towing, the enforcement side. As far as a drop-off zone, the only place that realistically that would work best would be all the way to the inside for a drop-off zone. But the problem with that is when you're having cars come off the ferry and cars lining to come up on the ferry, it's not easy to get out of there. So we talked about just putting your hazards on, parking the spot, no more than 10 minutes, drop your stuff off and then leave the lot to go park somewhere else.
That seems reasonable.
You know, enforcement on the lot, you know, you never know how long someone's parked there. So I think with leaving the hazards on, we walked through the parking lot at 4 o'clock and the car's there doesn't have the right tag on it. We write a parking ticket. We don't know if it was 10 minutes or 10 hours. You know, depends on how often we're checking the lot or the fellows on the weekend are checking the lot. So we think just throwing the hazards on.
Gives it a temporary nature.
Yeah. So
Gotcha. Okay.
that was it.
Can you, one last thing for me, and I don't know if my colleagues have questions, but utilization last year, we put X amount of spots aside, or I'm sorry, we didn't put them aside. We made them available.
We had 23 spots available. And I think we rented out 7 and just for a couple months. It was late in the season too when we started. People already had established parking elsewhere, but we only rented 7 spots out last year.
Before you go, council?
And you've also extended the season, am I correct?
Yeah, we'll
Request
extend the
for
season
Right.
from November to to April 14th.
14th.
You know, the marina opens April 15th, so we don't have to do much. Some point we'll have to paint the lines and stuff, but we can get to that after the 15th.
So it sounds like so far, and obviously there's some more questions from the council. Denise, there was success on almost everything. There's a decrease, suggested decrease, and extending the off-season parking time. Was there other questions from the council before? Greg Parks?
Chairman, I just had a
Yes,
quick
please.
question. Greg, I just had a quick question on the payment will be made in cash, check, credit card. Credit card is uses a 3.5% fee. I just have a concern with the cash only
Okay.
because of reconciling issues and, you know, as we know, cash can get messy. Carl, I don't know if you wanted to comment on the credit card reconciling versus, are you okay? What's your feeling on cash? Do you agree with me?
I agree with you, Councilman. Tracking cash will be very difficult. Preferred method of payment through finance is probably check. It's easier to track. If you have any problems, as you stated, it's easier to go back. You receive cash, it's gone. You receive credit cards, hard to reconcile that, a swipe. So preferred method would be check.
Check.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we were
Are
just
you
trying to
okay?
keep it open to any type of, currency that we can get in there. We use the Square system. Everything gets calculated through that. So
Sure.
however you guys want to do it, it's fine with us.
Are you okay with the no cash? I just think
Yeah.
it's better for you.
Yeah.
It's just not messy and weird.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
cool.
fine with
All right, good.
anything you guys want to do.
Council, any other questions for the harbor master? Denise?
Yeah, the reason why there were only 7 spots rented is because the average person makes about $22 an hour. The 150 is a serious hardship. You're talking people who have to go for radiation and PT, mostly elderly, and fixed incomes. You're not talking about the wealth on the island. You're talking about the people who have to get off and go to work in the factories. There's a med tech, there's a school teacher, there's people who have to get their kids to school, and there's no school on the island anymore. They have to get their kids off to go to school. And they can't just leave them and wait for the bus. So they drive them to school to Portsmouth, and then they hang around all day, and then they go back and wait for them. So the 125 helps a little bit, but really doesn't really help the the working folks.
Did I hear you correct? The schoolhouse has closed?
Schoolhouse closed 2 years ago. So from kindergarten on, you have to take your child and some folks have been creative. They've rented an apartment in Bristol, but that's getting cost prohibitive too. So the schoolhouse closed when Portsmouth no longer wanted to support it. It became a charter school and then it became like a homeschool kind of thing.
Mhm.
And pretty much, all the children are coming off the island now.
How many children are there about?
I think last year there was about 8 of them.
Wow.
Anywhere from real little to, there's one family that has 6 children. She has one in elementary school, she has 2 in middle school and 1 in high school.
I tend to lead towards the recommendation from the Harbor Commission. I know they took a long time to speak about this. I also appreciated that and I concur that the off-season parking time should have been and can be extended. So I find all of those things helpful, and then the decrease on it. So, but
Just
looking for a recommend.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to ask, when did you guys get a chance to make your case before the Harbor Commission? Okay.
No, I had filed the petition in October and then I found out from the town clerk a few days before the October meeting that it was being pushed to November.
They
for
would,
that reason.
they send the recommendation to us. So ultimately it is our call on what happens with it.
Absolutely.
Certainly they do send the recommendation. So if whatever step this council wants to take from here, this is not a resolution change, it's actually an ordinance change. So whatever we decide to do would need to be referred to the solicitor to create an amended ordinance on this.
I make a motion to support the recommendation from the Harbor Commission and refer it to the administrator in the, what's his name again? Oh.
Got it right.
Mike Orsella.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I just, one thing that I would ask is, you make a very good point, and I think it's hard when like one of our boards deliberates on something for a long time and comes up with what they think is best. I definitely think that you guys for the off season should revisit this, because I think you're right. The people that are coming off, I think that's a lot of money per month. I don't know if they would be agreeable to some flat rate for the off season or a lower amount. So I kind of felt that way when I first read this myself, like that's helpful, but it's not like a ton of money difference. And so I think that you should revisit this, but I think this is probably going to be the way it is this year, see how it works, especially since it happened late last year and we didn't have that many people use it.
And that's the reason why.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
you said, and now people have to walk it about a mile to park their cars.
Mm.
So it's difficult, but I do appreciate the ability to drop off with the flashers. That makes sense because folks are getting tagged.
I think you might want to in the future just start with the Harbor Commission, like Greg, and then the Harbor Commission and also to us. But we would send all of our things like this when there's a board involved to them for recommendations.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And then I agree with you, Mary. I think, we should probably do some sort of cost analysis as this is in place let's look at what's the breakdown of snow removal, signage, what does it take to monitor those costs, all that, so we can kind of revisit it. And who knows, maybe we can lower the rate. But I think at this point, we need to hit some sort of baseline and revisit it with some more analysis. So,
I mean, it really
Yeah.
is impacting only the people that live there year round. And, like you said, if people are going out there for treatments and things like that, I mean, I think it would be nice to like lay out all of the potential cases of what happens, not by name, obviously, but just the kind of stuff and, maybe even check off like an age range. Like I didn't understand that like a parent is coming over and then spending the whole day, all day long,
Yep.
in this area. And I don't know what the best way is, like homeschooling, like I don't really know, but that's kind of a hardship to be doing that, like just in general, not even the money, just have to do that every single day,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I think this maybe needs a little bit more work, but I think this is what's going to be for this year.
So
Mike, it's
we'll keep
being
the rate as
referred-
an, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it sounds like we just need to keep the rate as an open discussion and see where this falls in a year.
Mike, assume as it's being referred to you that you remove the cash option as a payment?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the council?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we said that this was an ordinance change or?
So we're referring it
Oh,
to the
okay.
solicitor so he can
Yeah.
make those changes. So from here, Denise, there'll be a first and second reading on it. So these would go into January, January meeting, assuming that there's no changes on it. These changes would take effect in January.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is F2. This is Sani Nasim, 93 Bayview Avenue, request for curb cut. I'd like to note that there is a late item, a recommendation received by the Department of Public Works on the council bias as received at meeting.
Director Perella is here too? Yes. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Hi.
Could you, no, your name is all on here. I'm all set. So you're in front of this council about a curb cut at
Correct.
93 Bayview, correct? I'm just going to get to the chase if I may.
Yeah.
It's already there.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how much that frustrates me. Before you, and you certainly can respond,
Mhm.
but there's no way that anyone thinks that paving over town property for private use is okay, and there isn't a permit process system. I understand you own multiple homes in Bristol, so you're familiar with. I did speak with community development, Diane Williamson, our director, and asked if there were other infractions, and there was. And to me, that makes me even that much more frustrated. I do not subscribe to the ask for forgiveness afterwards. This belongs to everyone. There's a reason why we have a system in place. Our system is there to make sure that you're safe, your tenants are safe, that the public is safe. The work that was done, there was no engineering done. We're driving over town sidewalks that have not been engineered for cars. None of this is okay. Can you tell I'm frustrated? I don't normally get like this. This is not okay. I don't know where my colleagues are, but I told you you could speak. So please, the floor is yours if there was something that you wanted to share.
Yeah, just gonna be straightforward and honest with you. I was doing this during a big construction also for one of my project in Catherine Street. I was doing it in Catherine Street and in here, and my contractor pulled all the permit required for my major work in Catherine Street, and he informed me that he also done a permit for this one, and I'm being straight honest with you. That back then was Mr. Steven Greenberg, was I believe the city
Greenleaf. Yes.
Greenleaf, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I have a very good relationship with him, and we done both projects for my understanding exactly as it was supposed to happen. I heard from the City of Public Work 3-4 months later that was no permit was pulled for it. That's the first time I heard about it. Now you might not believe me, which I don't know what to tell you, but that's actually true. That's what happened. I already pulled permit for a large, huge project. It wouldn't be that hard to pull a permit for the curb site. So there is no point of me. I wouldn't gain anything to do it without getting the permit.
Thank you.
And I'm being honest with you. That's exactly what happened. So to my understanding, all the permit was pulled for Catherine Street and because there was a big project, as I said, and for that project as well. I don't know why my contractor didn't pull permits. I have no idea. I was shocked when they told me there was no permit. When I went back to my contractor, apparently he said he talked to Mr. Greenleaf about it. That's the only thing he told me. And I can't bring him with me today, unfortunately, because he got deported by ICE, my contractor, which I didn't know, but that's the circumstances.
Thank you. Director Perella, could you gave us a recommendation to deny. Could you speak to that for this council and the public?
So as Sammy said, I wasn't made aware of this until after this was already in, and I heard from the compliance officer, and we looked at it. So my recommendation at this point would be, if this were submitted in advance and we could look at the construction, made sure that construction standards were going to be adhered to, the curb isn't cut. And without the curb cut, every time those tires hit that curb, that deteriorates the curbing. It's a brand new road there. It's been resurfaced. So how they're going to butt it up, that's all important to me. Also, when we evaluate curb cuts, one of the biggest and most important factors we look at, as you know, is the parking that you take away from the other residents.
Sure.
So you do create off-street parking, but it's not a one-to-one offset. It's almost like you reserve parking, but you take away parking, if that makes sense. You reserve it for people when they're going to use it, but you take it away because they can't block a driveway. So we would have looked at the offset, and we would have made sure that those standards were adhered to and it was done properly. And at that point, we probably could have come up with something that may have worked. But the way it is right now, it's just not acceptable.
So what do you recommend for this council's next steps? Obviously to deny, but what about the current situation there? There's work done. What should happen from here?
So what I would suggest would be deny the current petition. We would ask Sammy to initiate another petition if he wants to. We would look at this and we would go out there and meet with him and talk about it. Because I can already tell you that kind of width takes away. And I did another on-site visit today, and where that opening is, you don't just lose the linear feet of the opening, but you restrict like parking between that and the next interruption of parking. So I think that we could come up with something where we reduce, he can, as far as I'm concerned, what he's done on his property, he can leave it there. The width of it inside his property. But on our property, I would say that it's going to have to be removed. It's going to have to be reduced in width. So there's only maybe 10 to 12 feet. I'd have to measure it out, and it has to be in a place where we can still maximize parking for the residents, and I'd be fine with that. But the standards would have to be adhered to. There'd have to be some expansion joints in there, because right now it's just basically a slab of concrete on our property. And it kind of restricts more parking than it needs to. So I think something, if he initiated a new permit, I think request, I think we could go out and work with him on something.
Diane, follow-up question on that. The new parking lot in the back of the private property, does that trigger anything for additional runoff, or is there anything that would need to be considered at that? That doesn't weigh in on the curb cut, I understand that, but just larger scheme.
Right. I think we would need to measure it. The ordinance does require it in certain sized areas that you're disturbing. I believe Ed Tanner, the planner who administers that ordinance, has been out, but I don't know if he's actually investigated the dimensions to see if it will trigger that ordinance. So we need to do that as part of this
If it doesn't,
follow-up.
it doesn't, and it's
Right.
fine. I just
Right.
want to make sure it's considered.
Right.
So.
And Chris, if we move forward with the denial, what is the timing around having that curb cut that was improperly put in removed? Are you suggesting a certain timing it has to be done by?
Well, I would say certainly, I mean, we're going to be
Within-
up against winter at this point, so we're going to remove it and put loom in. I mean.
Oh, we're removing it, or?
This is what I'm saying. There's a couple of things at play here.
Okay.
First thing would be a denial of the permit the way it is now.
Okay.
But the problem is the driveway is there. So even if you deny the permit, there's still a driveway there.
Right.
So he would have, at least my opinion, he'd have to resubmit a plan. And then we'd alter it from there. But I'd have to say it would have to be pretty soon, especially if we're going to cut into that curve.
So within like a 30-day period?
I'd say that, yeah, 30 days would be
Okay.
adequate.
So basically, we would deny it. He'd come forward with another petition, which we would then refer to you.
Yep.
A department to like work with them, basically is what you're saying, and then come up with a plan that's agreeable to everyone.
And some of that plan, though, so in other words, we're going to look at a way to cut that curve.
Right.
But we still have to, I can tell you, it's not going to be approved with the linear feet that it is now, at least on our property. So it's going to have to, at some point, be removed. Some of that's going to have to be removed and replaced in kind back to town property. We could put that into the permit when we do it, but it's kind of like two things are out there at once. So I'd say yes, it would have to be addressed in this new permit.
How many cars do you intend to park on that driveway as you have cemented? Because I did drive by there myself.
So I have, it's a 5-family, there is 5-family, and I have 3 or 4 parking spot only. So I have 2 units in the back on that street that 4 people live there. So I did 2 parking because they would otherwise be occupying those 2 street parking, just parking on the street. So it's exactly what you said. They would be using that space, but anyway, but now it's, instead of it's open for everyone, it's a kind reserved for them.
Right, but it's 2 parking spots that you're
parking spots,
creating on that
yes.
driveway?
Yes, and
Okay.
just I want to add, I have been working with Chris, Director of Public Safety, right? Or the Director of Public Work, and he, since we know about this, we have been working back and forth with him for a month, and he did the same recommendations that I keep the driveway in my property, and then in the driveways that we created on the city property, we cut it in half. It's very much what you're saying. That's the recommendation.
You would have to have it spelled out what it is.
Yeah.
So in other words, the entryway into that driveway, which would be 1 car width, that's all it would take away from the street, and it would have to be in an area where we maximize. We reduce the impact on resident parking, but then once he's on his property, if he still has 2 cars, so long as it's not a runoff issue, Diane, but I don't know if the square footage is this point, so.
Okay.
I think that would all, I think we would need a plan, a really good detailed plan and you know, what the sidewalk's going to be constructed with, because you know, we can't just have all the asphalt there with no delineation for people to.
Yeah, I agree. It's not, that's okay. I understand.
Without a curb cut permit, that means that people can park in front of that driveway and there's no enforcement.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
so there's nothing that stops somebody from parking there, and the police officer can't do anything about, there's nothing illegal about parking there. So,
I agree.
okay. So we have a recommendation to deny. And from discussion that's happened, that you should be working directly with, the Director of Public Works and Community Development, sounds like too, to make sure that there isn't anything missed here. And that should happen now. And that in regards to the current concrete that is on town land and not approved, are we suggesting that should stay there as a plan is formulated? Looking for input from both you, Chris, and Diane. And actually the administrator too, if you want to weigh in.
Well, it's got to get removed. And quite frankly, I hope you didn't pay for it. I was there looking at it. It was, there's no control joints. I don't know how thick this is, but it looks like an amateur did it. There's no finished edges. It looks terrible. It's unfair to your neighbors. So it's a really shoddy job. So I would tear it out like as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to deny and request that the applicant work with DPW and Community Development to resubmit a new plan within a 30-day period from tonight.
And remove.
And remove the
And
concrete currently
And
on
remove
town
the
land.
current concrete.
Second.
So motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Discussion.
I think it's just important, like the way that was worded, because, you know, if there's like the winter's coming up and it seems like it's coming up kind of quick, that we,
Yeah.
you know, that the plan and stuff is all in place, like not come to us in December with a petition and then we refer it out, but just to like be working on it between now and that next meeting that we have.
Yeah, Mary, and that's why I'm,
Yeah.
the 30-day is
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
put a
Yeah. no, I
real
think it's good.
timeline and
Yeah.
on it. Thanks. Yep.
Nasim, am I saying your last
Yeah,
name
yeah, Sam,
correctly?
yeah.
So Mr. Nasim, what happens from here is you heard all of that discussion. Typically, a curb cut does not get discussed at a council meeting. The only time it does is that if it's a recommendation to deny, and that gives you, the applicant, an opportunity to, sometimes it's a tree that's in the way, something like that. There's a little bit different story. So the next step is that once an approved plan is agreed upon by both DPW director and community development director, then it will make it to the council meeting and consent agenda. And that means that it is, when we approve the consent agenda at the beginning of a meeting, that plan gets approved and it doesn't make it to the agenda until it's ready to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's what I was originally informed that this will be the case. But then later, I got the information today about me having to come. But that's not to anyone's fault.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just
Hearing-
one question, because I just want to be the same page with everyone. Now, in what you are asking me is to take the concrete on the city property completely out. And then when it's approved or whatever we're gonna do, then you can tell me which area I can put concrete
Submit
on.
an actual plan.
Yes, yes.
What we're gonna do with the curb, who's gonna do the work.
Yeah, I'll get your
construction
information.
standards,
after.
yeah.
Okay, good.
You clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council,
Thank
the
you.
next item on the agenda is F3. This is the Rhode Island State Police Office of the Superintendent and Director of Public Safety request for approval of the installation of a flock safety camera in the town of Bristol. I just also want to note that for the record, there is a received at meeting letter from the ACLU that was submitted to the council in
Thank you.
opposition.
Gentlemen, I can tell that you're from the state police. You have a look to you. Yes, you do. That's, yeah. Gotcha. Can you first introduce yourself?
My lack of brevity here.
Lack of brevity? I'm
I've
scared.
I've testified multiple times at the State House on things and I realized I just want to let everybody get educated on what it's about and any questions they have, I just want to answer them.
Let's get right to it.
All right. So I am Captain Mark Album with the Rhode Island State Police.
Welcome.
Thank you. Regarding the flock safety cameras, the Rhode Island State Police are committed to enhancing public safety, eliminating crime, and strengthening highway security across multiple jurisdictions throughout the state and the nation. I personally have been working on this project for several months, so that's why I'm gonna explain everything that I know about it. The automatic license plate recognition cameras have and will continue to help enable the ability to support modern policing through data-driven, resource-optimized solutions. Flock safety cameras provide automated vehicle recognition, real-time alerts, and advanced analytics. These capabilities significantly aid law enforcement in responding to active threats, for example, mass shootings or any school incidents that happen in the town or anywhere else. Investigating crimes and maintaining situational awareness, especially critical given the staffing challenges faced by law enforcement today. With persistent staffing shortages, these cameras help alleviate the need for more manpower and man hours and maximize investigative efficiency. They also provide real-time alerts to help locate such things as amber alerts to help find missing children, silver alerts to help locate elderly people, purple alerts to help locate mental and cognitive disability adults. And these are through the NCIC, National Crime Information Center, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the customized hot lists that Flock offers the customers. So if there's a known vehicle or something attached to any crime or a missing person, it would get notified if that particular vehicle hits on a Flock camera that is in place. And it would help law enforcement get to it, for lack of better terms, flock to it quicker. The flock safety cameras will only maximize the ability to collaborate across jurisdictions in response swiftly to emerging threats. These cameras offer a vital enhancement to our public safety infrastructure, improving situational awareness and investigative outcomes. Their deployment aligns with both technological advancement and operational efficiency, while respecting civil liberties through robust privacy protocols. Ethically, there is no facial recognition, there's no speed tracking, and no undiscerning evidence gathered. Flock safety cameras have no public IP and therefore are not addressable remotely to access footage. All data collection points are equipped with secure communication protocols to protect data in transit from interception and tampering. All data is encrypted using industry standard algorithms before being transmitted to the servers. In addition, the flock cameras are certified by the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services. They're compliant with the National Defense Authorization Act, the Higher Education Community Vendor Assessment Tool, HIPAA, and Family Educational Rights. They are also aligned with the security protocols established by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, cybersecurity, as well as the Cloud Security Alliance's framework. The cameras also provide aid in exonerating suspects. They're not just there for law enforcement to catch criminals, but it's also to help exonerate people who are not involved in certain crimes. I assure you that through the use of flock cameras, the goal of law enforcement is not to jump to immediate conclusions. However, these cameras provide a great investigative lead that can fill many gaps within an investigation. There are an inordinate amount of testimonials to the positive impact these cameras have had both nationwide and right here in Rhode Island. For instance, most recently, if any of you are familiar with the case in Central Falls, where the 6 people were arrested for the murder of the woman who was found in Pawtucket. Flock cameras efficiently followed them from Central Falls to the drop site in Pawtucket and back to Central Falls for an easy outcome in that investigation. On the East Bay alone, Middletown PD recently used flock kits to obtain a vehicle that was shown to a juvenile victim of sexual assault and who had positively identified the suspect. Suspect was convicted and received 7 years to serve and 20 years total. Newport PD recently had a stolen vehicle. Flock cameras located the vehicle in New Jersey within a timely fashion, and that was located quickly. The Providence PD handled a fatal hit and run motor vehicle accident in October 2023 with a brief description of the vehicle involved. They entered into flock, identified a vehicle, interviewed the owner, and ultimately charged for the offense. Woonsocket PD in the last year has had 40 arrests due to these flock cameras and recovered 24 stolen vehicles. I can go on and on. Chamblee, Georgia, recently in August 2020, a stranger on stranger child abduction. Within an hour and a half, the vehicle was located through flock, and within 4.5 hours, the vehicle stopped, the arrest was made, and the child was saved. In reference to the ACLU letter, which I read, it is true that there are not presently any statutory safeguards or framework for the use of automated license plate readers. However, there have been several legislative proposals at the State House level, but none have been passed to this date. The town of Bristol is not being asked to sign up with Flock, as the contract will be between the Rhode Island State Police and Flock. Flock encourages customers to create policies and guidelines. The Rhode Island State Police will be operating on a stringent policy, as well as a memorandum of understanding with other agencies who we will allow them to share with the data with. This will include not providing any information related to any immigration issues. And we are working on our policy team, our planning and research team is presently working on a very stringent policy for flock cameras, because in addition to the camera I'm asking for in Bristol, we have a total of 39 going out statewide. So there's going to be a lot of cities and towns that are going to be involved in this. And my goal is to safely put it out there and have not law enforcement being, looking at these cameras in any rogue fashion. I promise you that. And, the fee is not coming from the town of Bristol. We're paying as a state police. So that's $3,000 a year that you don't have to pay, that we're going to pay. Because it's going to be a 3-year trial period for the camera that we're going to put out there. And, just like I want to say is the Turnpike and Bridge Authority, they have transponders in place that record every time a vehicle drives over a bridge. Not much different. It's not much different than the flock cameras. If I stand on the side of the road with my recorder on my phone, it's picking up the same thing. It's not running anyone's license plate. It's not giving me any personal information. It's simply taking a picture of the license plate and a portion of the vehicle as it passes. So again, the bottom line is I'm attempting to make the state of Rhode Island a safer place and provide its investigators with the necessary tools to successfully do their job. We're also using companies, closed circuit television. We're using Ring doorbells. We're using everything we can to help solve crimes. And the flock cameras they're irreplaceable as far as what we're seeing in the state of Rhode Island. So I beg that you allow me to put a camera in the town of Bristol.
If you would. Council, start with you. Questions?
I have,
Mary?
I just have a couple of them.
Sure.
So you're proposing just to put one camera in
For
Bristol?
now. Yep.
Okay, so
on the other side, on the Mount Hope Bridge side, on the Bristol side of Mount Hope Bridge. As of right now.
it's over there. Okay.
Yes.
So what is your ultimate goal? Because we had this discussion a few years ago in relation to the bridge. And I think I think we could no longer afford to do it or something. So, but I mean, so you, how many, well, like ideally, what are you aiming for? Like, what are we getting ourselves into? Like, I think I agree with most of what you said, but do you foresee them like every so many miles on like major roads, like Route 136?
So right now, there's a minimum of 14 cities and towns that already have them deployed. On top of Home Depots, Lowe's, Rhode Island College, some housing authorities throughout the state. Some of the schools throughout the state. So my goal is we get these cameras up statewide, which we're gonna put up regardless whether or not you want one in Bristol. I'm not, and my goal is to give every law enforcement agency access to these cameras. So let's say a crime happened in Bristol and the car came from Central Falls, it's gonna hit in both locations and we're gonna have a better idea.
Yeah.
And it's to give everybody in the state of Rhode Island, all law enforcement agencies, access to better alleviate their crimes and speed up the investigations.
Yeah, I like, I understand that, and I'm pretty much in agreement with what you're trying to accomplish. I'm just trying to figure out, like, in the future, like, if this sounds like a little bit of a pilot program, and if you have that, is your, like, if you had your, the ability and the money to do it, would it be that there would be these cameras on all major access road, like all major roads in the state every so many miles, or do you just need like one or two, like one on Hope Street, 114 in Bristol, one on 136?
Right, like my goal for this project is I've got 2 cameras going, 95 at the Connecticut line, 2 going up 95 at the Mass line, 195. I'm trying to cover as much area of the states, and they're not layered like right on top of each other. They're very spread out. One in Westerly at Route 78, Route 1. I mean, but it's just to, we're a small state, so we're trying to keep knowledge of the cars coming and going as it is related to crimes and other.
Can you speak a little bit? I mean, I've seen on like online and social media on the ICE issue. You mentioned that already. I mean, I don't think that I can't imagine that people would be like down looking for somebody's license plate all around the state. I imagine that would be a very difficult task to do.
I say this because presently right now what's going on is the cities and towns that do have flock cameras up, they are requiring every agency who has access to their cameras to sign an MOU stating that we will not share any information we find through our investigations with CBP, Customs Border Protection, or ICE. And that we intend to do the same thing because we're not working in any fashion. And we want to put that out there.
Yeah, this is just really like, going after a suspect of a major crime, the ones that you listed, so that have been successful, and trying to track if the person's going which direction, where are they, how we might find them. Is that correct?
Correct. And just to see, like a lot of these crimes are happening from, over town lines, over city lines. And if you can put a car in Newport and a car in Bristol, and somebody gives a description of the car, you're able to build on it better, get a license plate, work on that, and it alleviates a lot of man hours and pulling security cameras from other businesses and doorbell cameras along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I go?
Please, of course.
Mark, thank you for coming out here. Thanks for taking the time out, explaining this to us and everything like that. We really appreciate that. We appreciate the work that you guys do and everything like that. But that's not to say that I do have some concerns about the technology and everything like that. And I know that in 2022, we installed a flock camera. We had a 1-year pilot program for a flock camera here in town. And I've been hearing from a lot of constituents some concerns. This is in 2022, but a lot has changed since 2022. We've seen really the explosion of capabilities of artificial intelligence. We've seen a lot of changes nationally that I think are concerning to some people. And I do have some questions that my constituents have asked me to ask you of. I know that where are you planning on putting, you said you're planning on putting the flock camera on the Mount Hope Bridge side of Bristol. Is the flock camera that we have up that we had up there, the one-year pilot program, is that still installed in the same location? Is that the one that you're planning on using?
I don't know where you had it installed.
Okay.
That was the state.
Has that been taken
That
out?
wasn't the state, that was us.
No, I understand
Oh, I'm
that.
But I was,
sorry,
I imagine it's not there anymore because I was going off the deployment team from Flock.
Okay.
Where their suggested spots were.
So I guess my question is, if there is any installation of a camera in Bristol, what are the plans for decommissioning? Do you guys have a policy in place for taking down a camera that's no longer being used?
We would just, the company has agreed to take it down for us.
Okay, so that's all in the terms and conditions
Yes,
that the
it's in our
company has
contract.
written and everything. So I assume that we have taken ours down since the one-year pilot program is over. Is that right, Chief? Or
That's a question to me, Councilman? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, that has.
Okay.
And that was designed by location, working with the company where it would have the best location and the best ability to read license plates going both ways, north and south.
Okay.
So I would imagine we went through the permitting process. That Flock already has the permitting completed with the state, that they probably would use the same general location.
Okay. Another question I had relates to, I imagine a flock camera in 2025 is not going to be as effective as a flock camera maybe in 2028. There's going to be software upgrades. There's going to be new capabilities added to these cameras and everything like that. We're being asked for the installation of a flock camera. I know Chief, when he brought the flock camera idea to us, he showed us what the flock camera was doing, what its capabilities were, and everything like that. My question is, if there are added capabilities to, and this isn't for you, Chief, it'll be for for our guests here today. If there are additional capabilities that these flock cameras are capable of doing, maybe after a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, or maybe at the end of the pilot program, is there any way that you intend to inform the municipalities of the added capabilities?
We would definitely adapt. We have a planning and research unit that deals with policies. We would definitely adapt the policy and the MOUs all day long.
Okay.
And I think, I know I read the letter from the ACLU, and some of the concerns were the noise and some other things. Well, those are separate things that they offer. Those aren't related to the flock cameras. They have other products for like the noise that isn't installed in the camera. It's totally different.
I guess kind of what I'm getting at is that, I'm trying to figure out if this was something that I would support in a letter today. Am I supporting the flock camera as it is now, or the flock camera as it's going to be in 5 years, right? And so to put my name behind something that might be a lot more powerful in 5 years than it is today is probably something that I'm going to be a little uncomfortable putting my name
I
behind.
assure you that we're big on accountability.
Okay.
And
I don't mean anything
No,
other than that.
I-
There's a lot of stuff I think that needs to be on the record.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond to that one
Of course,
tenant
go ahead.
through the chair. When I came to the council in 2022, I was president of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and I have testified in the General Assembly as I still remain the chair of the Legislative Committee for the Police Chiefs. One thing's for certain, look at the title of what's being proposed. These are license plate readers. At no time has the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association supported these cameras. They don't have the capability. You are correct. Under any set of circumstances, does it have capability of doing facial recognition? That is a common push by people that are trying to stop the flock camera system, that it's going to be being used for nefarious reasons. In the Bristol Police Department policy, I made it perfectly clear that any change down the line to these camera systems, you would be the first to know. And I think it's appropriate if you want to ask the state police that if there's any changes that their policy incorporate notification, especially to the Bristol Town Council. But I can assure you, we've met with Flock from the Police Chiefs Association. We've discussed these very concerns that we want them to stay specific and esoteric to what they're designed to do is to read a license plate of a bad actor, or help a missing person, as the captain alluded to, a silver alert, an abducted child. a missing person, a suicidal person, that we've put the license plate into NCIC was the genesis behind the one-year pilot program. If you remember, the Matthew Patton family supported that program, for 1 year out here. The big thing to note too that I want to put down is this data is not permanently stored. After 30 days, if it has no investigative purposes, if a police department hasn't flagged that information is no longer held or kept. And there are very high standards. I spoke to Colonel Michael Winquist. He's a former lieutenant colonel of the Rhode Island State Police and a decade-long and probably the best police chief, or one of the best, I should say. I'll get a phone call from Colonel Mancuso. That my hometown, Colonel Winquist has done an exemplary job. He's our lead police chief on flock camera. And the question that I posed to him, and you could see that in the email that I sent the council, this program has my full endorsement. As I pledged to you in 2022, I also, as your police chief for the past 7 years, have safeguarded our residents' civil rights. Everybody has been treated ethically, professionally, and with empathy, I would say, during my tenure and my predecessors as well. And that's very important to me as your chief. I would never endorse this. I don't know the captain, but his goal of trying to establish a blanket program to protect the citizens of the state, there is nothing nefarious behind flock. It is intended to read license plates. As I testified in 2022, that particular constitutional protections have gone all the way up to the Supreme Court in viewing that. And it has been determined that these flock cameras do not violate constitutional protection provided to motorists. It is reading a registration plate, which is open to all of the public. So their proposal has my full support as your chief. I certainly echo your concerns with having a quality policy from the state police, which puts those safeguards in. To date, I spoke to Colonel Winquist. If any information had been requested or shared with ICE and to his knowledge, no, it has not. I also asked a question, has there ever been, defense attorney, has there ever been a court action? Has there ever been a restraining order or some way to address a legal body over the utilization of flock since it's been here in Rhode Island? The answer to that question is no. It has worked seamlessly, professionally, and with the highest standards by Rhode Island law enforcement since its inception here in Rhode Island.
Chief, thank you so much. We appreciate your endorsement and everything like that. Mark, I just have another question. Is the data that is collected with the license plate readers, is it shared with other states?
It can be, but there would have to be an agreement.
Okay.
It's not, somebody can't just call up and say, first of all, they can't search without us giving permission.
Okay.
If we own the cameras, we have to give permission, and that would be through that stringent MOU. And New Jersey does have this STEM program that goes over the whole 95 corridor. And, as of right now, my goal is the state of Rhode Island.
So I think this kind of gets at the point that I'm trying to make. It's not that I don't trust the chief. It's not that I don't trust you guys. It's that if that information is shared across state lines to another state agency, we have absolutely no control over how they use that information at all. So that's what I worry. But hold on. One other point that I think is worth making here is that we were asked 1 year ago for a 1-year pilot program, and it was limited to right here in Bristol. And then now we're talking about a 3-year pilot program. That's more of a statewide program. And I can't help but notice that, and this isn't anybody's fault here. It's just the way that it seems that things go. And it's the way surveillance works, right? Is that everybody is born into a new regime of surveillance, okay? And every generation that's born into a new regime of surveillance is willing to go a little bit further to give up some of their individual privacy and everything like that. So my point is, it's not that I'm worried about you guys. It's that I'm worried about what happens in 10 years. And if we're going to regret decisions that we made 10 years ago at this time. And so I just, it's something that I wanted to have on the record. I appreciate being able to speak freely about this. And it's certainly a concern that my constituents have. And so it will be difficult for me to support something like
I
this.
appreciate
'Cause,
that.
Yeah,
and By all means, sir, with all due respect, there's many towns and cities that are waiting for another camera, so
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could address the issue of sharing information, I'd like to provide a little further detail to the councilman.
Before you go there, I wanted to give council an opportunity, and obviously you have another opportunity. Was there something you wanted to share at the moment, or did you want to hear the chief's response now?
I just have questions, but I'll let the chief
Chief,
speak
please,
and then we
go ahead.
can address my questions if you don't mind, Chairman.
So if you refer back to the Bristol policy, I'll also make a recommendation to the state police that they do that prior to sharing that information to somebody that's not already on the Rhode Island portal. One of the things that I requested in the policy, which was one of I give credit to the Rhode Island State Police. They disclosed the location. I can tell you that's the only law enforcement agency outside of the town of Bristol that disclosed the location of the flock camera. I never had a problem with disclosing the location of the flock camera. Because I thought that, transparency was extremely important. So I want to applaud them for letting people know, one, because that was a concern back in 2022 from the ACLU, what was going to be the location. And I immediately addressed that. But one of the things that we did about sharing of information here in Bristol, if anybody has concerns under the one-year program, they had to provide a case report number. It had to be an active investigation, and I had to approve it as the chief of police. So if the Utah Police Department was looking into a matter of a license plate that popped up onto Flock, they would have to send me a request, and I would base that on what was that request for, what type of criminal investigation was it, and if I felt as though that it had merit, we would provide that particular information, but only upon an official request. It wasn't an open-ended portal where somebody could dig in and start getting that information. So all of the things that are identified are very important that Councilman Lay is outlining. They all can be addressed in quality policy. And I have the utmost confidence in the Rhode Island State Police in putting together a comprehensive policy to safeguard all Rhode Islanders. I certainly know Governor McKee personally, and Colonel Weaver, who was a fellow Cranstonian, that the Colonel and the Governor will make sure that all of these issues are properly addressed.
No, and Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I do appreciate the dialogue, and I think that, certainly this is your classic debate, right, between like liberty and security. We want to have order, right, but there's others that are kind of sometimes concerned about those things a little bit. And there's no doubt in my mind that there can be some safeguards that are put into place in something like this. But for me, I'm just not comfortable in going that direction. And I do appreciate the dialogue. So,
Tim.
Yeah, again, I think our goal is to keep our community safe while respecting the privacy and the trust of other residents. I think my questions are around really data ownership, access, retention, and sharing. So what I've heard tonight, and if we could just recap and you could say yes, no, that the data the cameras collect is strictly license plates. Is that correct?
You'll get license plates and sometimes a little other portion of the vehicle.
And via like a vehicle description or what? Like a vehicle?
Sometimes, not always.
Okay.
It's
okay. And the flock camera does not do any facial recognition at all.
Facial recognition.
Okay. And then who the data is collected, and then who would own that? Is it the town or state?
State police, whoever the paying customer is.
Okay. And then when that information is stored, it's stored by location, license plate, and then sort of time stamped, and then it's held for 30 days. And then after 30 days, we completely delete it from the databases.
It automatically deletes after 30
Okay,
days.
great. And is this data shared with the federal agencies at all? Which means like ICE, like that type of thing, because it's kept. Okay.
We do not.
And then I had a question in regards to a documented policy of some kind. Is there, Chief, I know you had talked about comprehensive quality policy. Did I hear you correctly, or some sort of policy? Is there a written policy that my colleagues could review?
So,
because all we got in our agenda is just a
just so you
form.
know where I'm at.
Yeah.
I have a meeting next week, my first meeting with Flock to get the whole plan rolling. Like we're deep into it, don't get me wrong, but the whole deployment plan and the policy
Sure.
and the retention, that's next week. So as we speak, my planning and research unit is working on the policy, so I don't have it completed right now.
Okay,
I can
Okay.
get it to you as soon as we finalize it, for sure.
okay, okay. So I'll just be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to vote on anything without viewing having a full understanding of what the policy and what this camera is actually going to do for our residents, because we need to maintain that trust for our residents. And,
Sure.
you know, the chief has talked about it. He does a very good job with his department keeping this town safe. So we just, is that, we would need to see that policy
And just,
for me.
just so you know, the policy itself may not be what you want, but the MOU, which is gonna follow it, may appease you, but you can
Okay.
you can look at both of them for sure.
Oh, so a written policy and a memorandum of understanding, we'd be able to see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Great. Thank you.
Tony, do you have anything?
Well, most of my questions, actually, excuse me, most of my questions have been answered by the captain as well as by, our colleagues here asking the questions. I mean, I've lived in this town for 55 years, and I fully understand the logistics. I was a town administrator, director of public safety in the town for 4 years, along with my colleague here, town administrator. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the discussion that's taken place here. I feel pretty comfortable with it. However, I also understand, the questions that exist around policy, the memorandum of understanding. So,
Okay.
that's just about what I have to comment on at this point.
I mean, I just wanted to comment a little bit, like, I mean, we already had a flock camera here. We had already had this discussion a while ago and we had it. I know it wasn't linked with the state police, but I mean, I think the interesting thing is like, we're all on camera all the time. I think, if you work in any of the cities, I mean, you can't go very far where you're not in a school or red light camera or anything else like that. All the Ring doorbell cameras that people have, you see that all the time on news programs of how they've identified people and things like that. So, I mean, it goes to my questions earlier, like what ultimately be the intent? Like how far apart would they be? How many would there be? Right now, there's one. I could see maybe one on two of the main roads, one on each main road down the road, but I don't see a whole lot other. I mean, to me, it seems like common sense that if you're pursuing somebody in any of those categories that you had, mentioned, whether it was civil alert or, a criminal activity, you're going to have to be looking cross-border. I mean, like if I go to work at Pawtucket, I'm driving in Massachusetts twice a day, So, I think that, this is, I think we have to be careful as to how many we have and how far the surveillance idea goes. But I think this is like already taken on in some ways like a life of its own, not the flock cameras necessarily, but whatever is out there, like, cities, 4th of July time around here, there's a lot more stuff that people are not necessarily aware of. And maybe that's like a good thing sometimes, but I don't really feel like I'm going to be tracked like by a flock camera every time I go over the bridge, for example. I mean, I feel like I'd be more tracked every time I go by a school, to be perfectly honest with you, that has, a speed camera. So I think I'm not really that opposed to this particular incident, especially since it's limited. I did have one quick question though, like how many communities, I think you said that 13 or 14 already have their own flock cameras. How many people are you raising this issue with, and like how many have agreed to go on so far?
22 that I'm proposing this to, and I am waiting for 5 letters. So I have 17.
You have 17. Oh, wow. Okay.
Captain, a couple questions for you.
Sure.
First is a real straightforward one. What does flock mean? Is it the name of the company?
That's just the name of the company.
Is that all it is?
That's
Okay.
all it is.
So second one, Chief really held you in high regard. And I must tell you, we hold the chief and our police department in high regard. How do you know that? Watch a council meeting. Coming to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
come to an event and we will go on ad nauseum sometimes on how much respect. And the chief talks about the state police as the highest and best. So if we hold our police department in that high regard and he holds you in that high regard, there is nothing higher. So to be clear, should we be asking these questions? Damn it, yes. It's important that we do. I have an inherent trust for the chief. Therefore, I have an inherent trust in both of you and the state police. There's nothing that has happened in my understanding with the state police that I should be concerned that you're going to handle this in any other way than professional. I also believe that we need the policy, and you specifically called out, you said an MOU. For myself, I think what we can do on this agenda item is continue it, and we'll wait to get that MOU. We'll wait to get that policy. Let's review it. Let's make sure it's everything that you just said. Something else that I would like to see happen is, Aaron touched on this a little bit. I will take it and maybe change a little bit and say, if there's a policy change, we want to know about it. So if it's being used for something that we did not explicitly agree on in this conversation or others, I want to know about it, right? So if facial recognition is added to it, I want to know, right?
Absolutely.
You know, if we're going to give permission, then the same would be true that we could remove that permission, right? So all in all, I believe that being able to, my wife has family that suffers from Alzheimer's, and Silver Alert is a real thing. We've watched Amber, I won't go down stories. We've seen it save lives. So, and I believe that the fears should be dealt with, but I also believe that the benefits outweigh the fears. So that being said, I think we should continue this to, let me ask you this. Our next meeting is the 10th of December. When do you believe an MOU and a policy would be available? Would it be January, February, December? You tell me.
I'm hoping within a month for sure.
So if we continue this to December 10th, is that enough time for you to get that?
It should be, but I will let the chief know if it changes. But they've already been working on it for me for about 2 weeks already. So
Does that time frame, if we waited till January, does that affect any decision-making process on your end? So why don't we just make it to January? It gives you enough time to holidays, all of those things. So our meeting in January is the 7th, January 7th.
can we do December? Just because that's another month that if I
I'm
get
fine
all-
with it if you are. I
If
was
I get
trying
all
to give you
these
some
letters,
break.
then it's got to go to the permitting team and then the DOT and,
December 10th it is.
okay, thank you.
Council, you agree?
So you have a
Okay.
deadline, you have like a process of needing the letters, and is this grant money that you?
It's grant money.
Okay, and then.
But I have all intent on recurring it afterwards because it's the testimonials are unbelievable on these things. They really are.
Captain, another question for you. What questions didn't we ask you? What other communities did you talk? What didn't we ask that other communities asked?
You're the first town council I had to go in front of.
So other people will ask what we asked then. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I have
So-
one next week and I have one the week after.
But you got 17 already, and that was just like,
That was without any
oh, really?
questions. Yes.
That's why we're the
wow.
safest community in the state of Rhode Island. See what's happening right there?
That's good because I live on the other side of the bridge.
So,
Before
Chair,
you do that,
yeah.
Mr. Administrator.
A question for the captain. So I think, if I recall properly, you have, for example, you have a home invasion, you have a suspect, or you have a registration that a neighbor saw. Would that be a typical, a good use of using the flock system?
Absolutely.
Okay, so who would have access to the system, and like what other circumstances would be approved? For example,
My goal is to provide every law enforcement agency in Rhode Island with access, with limitations. And that's part of my meeting next week with Flock is who are we going to give access to and with what permissions? And I'm not going to give it to every police officer. I'd probably give it to, based on whatever police chiefs deem appropriate for their agency. I would imagine a detective captain or lieutenant or, again, I would confer with all the chiefs to figure out.
right. So you think the policy or your MOU would say something like there would have to be a report pulled? I know when you retrieve information from, at the time it was Rylett's NCIC, you had a password. So any officer that had access to that database, it was logged in permanently. and they had to, I think you had to enter like a case number or something.
Yes.
Would it be similar to that?
Yes, and what I forgot to add was that everyone who is going to use Flock would have to obtain training from Flock
Okay.
before they.
So in the event that somebody gained access to the system without authorization, first of all, you think that could happen? Questions is, as stated, there is that balance of privacy and prevention of crimes. I know years ago, we had several violent home invasions in Bristol. And if we had the tool back then, we had suspects and we just weren't able, we didn't have the cameras that are out there today. So I think it is, but it is a concerning thing. This is coming from someone that likes to go out as deep into the woods as I can get away from cameras. But for some of the cases that you said early on in your opening remarks, those are significant cases and they show success in the program. But a strong policy like you're getting at, I think is paramount. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, I guess, based on some of the unanswered questions, I'd like to move that we continue this to the December
10th.
10th meeting, or until we receive a written policy or a memorandum of understanding that clearly defines I would say the system scope, what we discussed tonight, maybe the number of cameras, data retention and deletion standards, just so our public has a clear understanding of what's going in place. So
And
we want to be transparent.
And Tim, can you maybe add something about sharing with other states or something like that? A little bit more information about that.
And data sharing.
Specifically other states and who might have weaker policies on how they go about doing this kind of stuff.
So data collection and use. With
Yeah,
other
you could-
states,
yeah, that way you can
data
encompass-
collection
yeah,
and
I
use.
suppose that, right.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G1. This is the Conservation Commission three-year term set to expire December 2028. We have Lindsay Green with interest in reappointment and Craig Fisher also with interest in reappointment.
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to reappoint. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is G2. This is the Juvenile Hearing Board. This is for one three-year term set to expire December 2028. And we have Oriane Lima also with interest in reappointment.
Motion to appoint Oriane.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Tony to appoint. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, did we Craig Fisher?
Yes,
Okay.
they're both on
Both,
that one.
yeah.
All right, good,
Yes.
good.
One for two.
Guys are moving fast.
Yes. Stay with us.
So I'm trying to keep up,
The next item on the agenda is G3. This is the Capital Project Commission, one five-year term set to expire May 2030. And we have Kevin Manuel with interest in appointment.
Mr. Chairman, Kevin actually is currently serving on the Park and Recs Board. He's been before us for interview, I believe once, possibly twice. I would just make a motion that we appoint Kevin to the Capital Project Commission.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Aaron. Discussion?
Kevin's a really bright guy, so.
Yes.
That's important.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This is the part where I say thank you. I'll keep it short because we've had a long meeting so far. So boards and commissions, time away from family, like tonight, right? We
Yeah.
talk about important things. They do too. It's what makes Bristol, Bristol. And we say thank you. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next item on the agenda is old business. This is H1. This is review and adopt proposed language establishing requirements for diagram sketches and/or photos to be submitted with dancing and entertainment licenses and liquor license to ensure clear depictions of the licensed premises. This is continued from the July 23rd discussion.
So first, Madam Clerk, nice job. You put a lot of effort into
you.
this. I know we sat and I got at the last like 10% or so. So nice job in putting this all together. I know we were all on the same focus on this, was that getting a better idea of what's being presented in front of us. So we get sketches right now, and we require sketches. To be fair to the applicants, that's what we've been requiring. But on a go-forward basis, as in next year, not for this year's, then this made a lot of sense to me, and I think to all of you. Thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, and second on the work that was done over here. I noticed that Portside and Roberto's in the packet had the pictures and the sketches and everything like that. Is that what we're gonna come to expect now when we're getting the new
That is what this,
applications and everything? Is that kind
Yes.
of like a pilot of what we're gonna be seeing?
the idea is that if you're from, somebody said New Jersey earlier. So if you're from New Jersey and this was put in front of you, you can tell they've never set foot in Bristol. This is the building. This is where they're proposing. This is what's going to change. These are the exact measurements. Because we got a sketch, and it was drawn this way was longer than this way, but in fact, the building was exactly the opposite. And those kind of things don't help us make good decisions. So this is also wonderful for the record. I think somebody also brought up about also good for enforcement too. So our fire and police department know exactly what we approved and where.
Good public safety.
Yeah, good public safety. Thank you.
Certainly it'll make it easier for their review to make a recommendation for us.
Well said.
I just think this is very well done. It improves fairness. As the chairman stated, public safety, it requires a clear floor plan, seating layout, photos, so we can evaluate safety, capacity, use of space. I thought this was very, very well done and put together.
So what do we
So
need for a
Madam
motion
Clerk,
on?
excellent job.
So, Mr. Chairman, parts of the town ordinance state that they have to provide so for example, the dancing and entertainment license in one of the subsections, it requires the plan drawn to scale. That's what we've been getting with the depictions of where the entertainment location is. I'm not sure if the solicitor would recommend that it be.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you again, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is H2. This is discussion and consideration of a resolution regarding the general homestead law, allowing mixed-use combination properties to be eligible for an exemption on the portion of the residential property. And here you have the draft resolution and draft legislation.
So this encapsulates our discussions from,
From the previous council meetings of October 1st and October 22nd.
perfect.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution. I just want to state that for the record, this homestead tax exemption will apply only to the portion of the mixed-use property that is used as the owner's primary residence, and that the town assessor, I think we should really point out that the town assessor should determine the percentage so the policy is applied consistently and fairly. What I'm nervous about is, colleagues, we get involved with determining if there is like somebody says, oh my God, half my garage was, is used for residential, but it's really commercial. You know what I mean? I just think we should just put into the record that the tax assessor definitely has the ability to determine what is residential and commercial.
I think that's it.
That makes sense.
It does make sense.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is to consider and adopt a resolution formalizing the town's past practices regarding background checks, procedures into a written policy for board, committee, and commission appointments. I do want to note that there is a revised BCI resolution presented to the council with a revised attachment A to also include language to add town appointments onto that.
What I recall,
Yes.
the solicitor and I spoke a bit earlier, and it was from an earlier conversation that the administrator and I had in regards to the harbor master and the tree warden was specifically called out. Just because of the way the chart was showing. So, Mike, could you weigh in on this, please?
Absolutely. Really, this all goes back to Exhibit A. We wanted to clarify exactly what applied here as set forth in Exhibit A. And you note that we list some individual positions that have nothing to do with a board or commission. We have the like the assistant harbor masters, we have the harbor master, we have the tree warden. Those are all individuals that the town council appoints. They're on this list precisely because they're your appointment, but we want to make clear that they too, like other ultimately employees, et cetera, are subject to the policy. So we clarified with regard to the harbor master that he goes through, or she goes through a BCI process through the HR department when they're hired after your appointment. And that has been made clear in Exhibit A, that chart. With regard to the tree warden, that is a Attorney General BCI that is required by state law. So that's why it's checked off there in that middle list. Additionally, in order to clarify the fact that this policy does not apply solely to boards, commissions, or committee members, I had Melissa go through and redline. We included town appointment positions everywhere that it was required in the whereas clauses and in the title. So again, the whole idea is just making this absolutely clear. I think now that the language in the policy and the exhibit all run well together. And if anyone has any questions.
I just want to point out a couple of things. One is, again, Madam Clerk, Mr. Solicitor, Mr. Administrator, I know there's a lot of effort put into this necessary, but some great points. For example, we got a lot of feedback from boards and commissions that they were having to have a new BCI every time they were reappointed. That's been removed on some, which is very, very appropriate. And some it has not. So example, and I actually moved reappointments, members being reappointed to a child safety related board must undergo a new BCI through the Bristol Police Department every time they're being reappointed. Unnecessary in, for example, a planning board seat. Right? As long as there's no break in their service, then no BCI would be necessary. So things like that makes it easier on our boards and commission members, but also make sure, and BCI is not the be all end all. It's not going to do everything, but it is imperative that we do something, that we need to look and see if there's an issue here. Something else that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is that there are things that disqualify you that are called out, and there are obvious things like murder, voluntary manslaughter, secondary sexual assault, third-degree sexual assault, first-degree sexual assault, and I won't go through all of them. But then there are things that are questionable, right? Things that require some additional conversation. So those will be, if this policy is adopted, would be forwarded to the clerk that there's an issue and not the actual issue itself. And then it would be council in most likely executive session to have that discussion whether or not it was egregious enough that we did not want to move forward on it. So that ultimately rests with us to have that dialogue, and we can decide whether or not we still want to talk with the applicant to move forward. Make sense?
Yeah,
does
yes,
make sense.
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
The very nicely drafted to say, so thank you to the folks who put in the work. I particularly like the checklist at the back. I think that's pretty nice and quick reference, so it's not very confusing. So thank you.
Anything else from the council?
No, make a motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for that because it makes my job a lot easier getting those BCI. Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I2, and this is Town Clerk Adaro. This is a request to amend the parking ordinance language found in Chapter 16 Motor Vehicles and Traffic to the stopping, standing, and parking in Section 16-145. And there is some draft ordinance there, and it's basically to change the language that's found on the town ordinance where it states that there's a violation for parking with left wheels to roadside, which becomes extremely confusing to explain to violators. But there is Rhode Island General Law 3121. I think that's what it is, in 29, that reference when somebody's basically parked on the wrong side of the road. But I believe that the solicitor is going to redraft some of those words to clarify it. But it's basically just to make an amendment to be clear, to describe to offenders what that actual violation is.
Much
I
clearer.
agree with Melissa. The language on the ticket is difficult, and we need to change it, bring it consistent with state law. So I recommend that you refer this to me. I'll prepare an appropriate amendment, and it will go through the ordinance amendment process starting December 10th.
Excellent. So moved.
So I'll second that
Discussion.
with discussion. Thank you. I concur, obviously, as you see, I second that. However, I would ask, okay, how will that impact any of the documents like the tickets and, the fines, the book with the fines and all of that? Is there going to be somewhat of a financial impact on some of these things that are going to need to be changed?
So currently, actually, I spoke with Bert Rodriguez today. They're in the process of making some changes to their current parking tickets, and he is aware that there is going to be some amendments to that particular violation. But I believe that once I get some wording from the solicitor, and if I may ask, I believe that the wording that was proposed there didn't really conflict with the actual state law, that regardless if it said wrong side, parking with left wheels to roadside or parking on the wrong side of the road, it still was in reference to those chapters.
Yeah.
It still meant the same violation.
Yeah, it's 3121.7. So the point is that since they're redoing the tickets anyway, it's not going to be an extra burden of cost.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is I3. This is Chief Lynch, Bristol Police Department. This is a report on school bus safety legislation and for council consideration to support a resolution to have the school department proactively review the legislation to include considering an RFQ like other communities.
Chief?
This is just a proactive tool in my role with the police chiefs. With legislation, I kind of have a driver's seat to when the General Assembly makes odd changes to the role of police and everything else like that. So I wanted to kind of get it out onto the agenda so that the school department, to the best of my knowledge, they lease the school buses still here in town. So any type of contracts that they enter into, usually they're long-term. Most busing contracts are multi-year. So I wanted to kind of put it on the radar of the superintendent and the school committee so that they were aware of the fact that any new school bus manufactured after 2027 must be equipped with camera systems to monitor when that stop arm goes out on a school bus, that camera gets activated, and it would capture if there was a violator that drove past the school bus after all of the flashing lights and the stop arm went out. As of 2032, any buses that are in the fleet that may be older than 2027 are going to have to be outfitted with that equipment. And the police department is going to have to establish a conduit with the vendor that the school department contracts with in order to issue the appropriate violation. So I wanted to put on the radar that East Providence proactively is getting out and going ahead of the legislation and is moving forward, working with an RFQ, which I provided you all as an example in the superintendent to say. So they kind of changed the funding formula. The bus monitoring companies used to get 70% of the violation. And with this legislation, the formula has changed. So before, many of the monitoring companies would run out to the municipalities and say, don't buy the equipment, we'll give it to you for free, but we want a multi-year contract. I understand, even though the percentage dropped much lower, in East Providence, they were able to successfully negotiate because they had time and they got out there to not have to purchase the equipment for their school buses. So this is just kind of proactively alerting the council. By the statute, the chief, it's the school committee's responsibility to contract with this particular vendor, but it's the police chief that has to sign off on the tenets of the program. Any violation that gets issued, even under now, for somebody that has a school-related or any violation, there's a portion of the proceeds that go back to the town. So I want to make it clear, because the legislation does not, that the proceeds from any violation go to the town. And I also put a special request in there. I'll be making an announcement very soon. I'll be returning with a second school resource officer for the Bristol Warren Regional School District for the schools here in town. I'll also be making an announcement on what that school resource officer will have, seeing as Officer Medeiros retired along with Brody. So there are a lot of expenses while we're looking at donations and volunteers and grants. There are a lot of expenses with running a school resource officer program. So I would merely ask that one of the functions of the new school resource officer will be to work with the bus monitoring company or the third-party vendor and issue the violation. A vendor cannot. It has to be viewed by a police officer. He has to sustain the violation. And then secondary, the officer would issue a citation to that person, whether it goes in the mail or they come to police headquarters to achieve that. So I'm asking that we don't have many violations now, but I can imagine if the technology is kind of out there, that we're probably going to pick up significantly the number of violations that we do have with people that just kind of hazingly go through a stop arm. There certainly will be a warning period. There'll be proper notification. But in my memorandum, I make a request of the council to say any proceeds from this new program will be directed towards the school resource officer program. That may accompany veterinary bills for a comfort therapy dog. It could be housing. It's very expensive year over year, the cost to incorporate a canine or an animal with a school resource officer.
So Chief, you're looking for us to support this resolution to be forwarded to the school committee and superintendent? Is that, what do you want, what would be a next logical step with this information?
I certainly know that the school committee is very astute on current legislation and their requirements. I just wanted to certainly get out there to let them know that there are other communities that are being proactive and that are seeking solutions. We're signing multi-year contracts so that there's no outlay of town funds for a camera system, that they have that ability. And I guess the second request would be if there's any proceeds from that it would support the school resource officer fund. So indirectly, it's supporting the schools as well, but that's a decision that I can't make.
So you want, I guess what I'm asking is next steps on this is, are you hoping that this gets forwarded to the school committee and superintendent and asking them to take these suggested steps? Is that?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
So move.
Yeah, I'll second the motion. I think
Discussion?
I can get behind this. Definitely improves child safety and at bus stops. It's going to reduce preventable accidents. I think it's good. It's good to get this in front of the school committee, so I can definitely support this.
Great. Any other discussion?
If I may, I know that the chief had mentioned that the proceeds from those violations go toward, or recommends that goes to the school resource officer, which I am in agreement with, but I also want the council to know that those tickets will not be going to RITT. Those will now be processed through the local municipality. So there is a burden on the staff here to process those tickets. So I just want to be mindful of that, that funds that would be accrued for those fees not only be maybe mindfully divided between the school resource officer as well as the clerk's office to make sure that we have those funds to support
Funds.
our staff.
Notice if this, it's noted, so we'll take that information
Thank you.
and if this comes to fruition, then we'll have that conversation as part of our, probably our yearly budget too, but no problem.
Yeah, because Carl, it's not like you set money aside in the accounting or anything like that. It all comes in through general fund, right? Or
And here's the hope. Don't go through a blinking red light school bus because we don't want any proceeds from this.
No, we-
Thank you very much. Right? So
If I could comment, there's hundreds in Providence and Warwick are the two municipalities with this technology already. And, they have had to hire extra officers due to the number and volume of the citations that are being
Wow.
issued. So
That's
this
unbelievable.
technology is certainly there. And I am in complete agreement with the clerk that court fees or anything associated with managing and running the court, that they should, certainly be a part of that.
we'll certainly have that discussion. You got it. All right. Any other dialogue? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is J1. This is bid 1075 for the heat pump system water pollution control facility. We had the bid opening today at noon. We did receive one bid from Cold Masters in the amount of $20,000.
I make a motion to refer this to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary, as stated. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is K1. This is the Bristol County Water Authority Tri-Town Monthly Report for October 2025.
Will I make a motion to receive and file?
Second?
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is L1. This is a draft resolution pursuant to the Town Charter, Section 208C, to sell town property on Greenway Drive, Platts. It's noted here as 1059, but there is a correction. It should be 159, lot 1057, and this is called for public hearing on December 10th.
Can I have a motion to that effect, please?
Second.
So there's a motion and second to call for public hearing at our December 10th meeting. Mr. Solicitor.
I'm going to suggest a small clause be added to the now therefore at the bottom, where it says the Bristol Council hereby authorizes the sale and conveyance of the property to the Mackenzies, to be consistent with the way you've handled the conveyance of public properties in the past. Make this available. I doubt there would be anyone, but there might be someone who is interested in purchasing this, again, to be consistent with all of your prior actions. So my recommendation is that we add the clause subject to a higher bid from any interested person upon the same terms and conditions on and before December 10th, 2025. That's the date of your public hearing. So basically what it says to the public is, if you're interested and you want to make a bid on this, it's something you get to consider. You do not have to accept a higher bid. You can still decide on the 10th at the public hearing to sell it to whom you want to sell it to, but at least it gives the public the opportunity if they so desire.
Can we have an amended motion on that?
Second, just support exactly what.
And then there was a second. That's
Yes.
that's what I heard.
That's-
Any other discussion?
Yes, very briefly. So if I want to put in a bid to raise chickens and rabbits there, I could do that, right? No, just-
yes, you could.
No, and I would say you had a conflict, so I wouldn't let you do it.
Okay.
But maybe if someone else, like the chief of police, wants to raise chickens there.
Chief, please don't raise chickens there. Thank you. Any other discussion? Settle down.
Lot of
All in
good-
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Up
PA.
next is an executive session, and this would be a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4246(5)(a)(5), discussion or consideration related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or the disposition of publicly held property wherein advanced public info would be detrimental to the interest of the public.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Discussion? So we are going into executive session now. We will end the recording. We will come out at the end of executive session to complete the meeting in public. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good night.